Hello, and welcome to another edition of Etsy News, your roundup of what's been going on in Etsy for the week. And there's quite a lot. Yeah, apologies if I missed anything. Had an interesting end to the week, which involved me having to call the police. I'm all right, but it does knock you off your game a little bit. But hopefully, I've caught most of the important news things for the week. So let's dive into what has happened for the week ending the 5th of August. Where's the summer going? Firstly, this is my FFS Etsy. I don't think I can say the words yet. So I'll just explain how I do the Etsy seller news. As news comes in during the week, I drop it into this article, so you'll see how things have progressed. It's interesting to see how things have progressed this week as well. But we spoke about the Etsy Reserve. This has been all over the news this week, but for the past few weeks as well. But this was such a cheek. For sellers, some of the sellers who had their shops on reserve, if you don't know what reserve was Etsy were reserving a portion of the funds that when a seller made a sale, Etsy were keeping 75% of that sale for a long period of time. So I think this was probably just bad timing and a coincidence, but Etsy partners up with lots of different places. So some of these sellers who were on reserve were getting emails offering them loans. What would you do with your extra shop funding? So they've partnered, where are we? At Etsy, we're committed to helping you achieve your wildest shop dreams. You've told us it's not always easy to find the additional funds to cover expenses that'll boost your shop. Additional funds. No, this is people's actual funds. They need them. Right. We've dug into this more and we've exciting news to share. Based on the number of Etsy sales you've made in the past year, shop like yours have been pre-qualified by a third-party provider. So Etsy's sending your financial data to third party. Anyway, yeah, Ulend, don't know that, for an exclusive cash advance offer of up to $3,000. This means that leading up to the holidays, you can access funding to support your business in multiple ways. Ooh, that one hits on the nose. So Etsy is going to hold your funds. There's more on this later on the shop reserve, but Etsy was holding your funds. So when you made a sale, you weren't getting the money, so you weren't able to afford to buy the supplies or the shipping to create and send the item. But don't you worry, you can take out a loan with a yeah, I don't think much of that one for sure. Nice one, Etsy. Um, I do want to share an Etsy winner. So, it's not the design awards was awarded this week as well. It was very cool, and this is the winner. Um, Mary Gabby Designs. And love the bag. The grand prize winner is this really cool. It's cactus leather bag, beautiful, and couple of really good things about this one. I went to the shop. No surprise, that bag is sold out. Hopefully, they'll be able to create more because they're going to be really popular. And in the great big scheme of things, with at the time I looked at their shop, 135 sales. This is a relatively small shop that is going to be a lovely big boost for them. So congratulations, Mary Gabby Designs and all the other Etsy Design Award winners. You can go and have a look at the rest of them, but just wanted to celebrate somebody who's something cool's happened to them and just shows that some of the little guys can do well with these design awards. However, they have a unique fantastic item with really good photography, so not a surprise. So this was earlier on in the week, Etsy in the news again. The Verge in the USA and the BBC in the UK were reporting on the reserves, and people doing the maths with the numbers were reckoning with Josh, and he said later in the week as well, oh, it's just a small single-digit % of sellers. Yeah, but with the millions of sellers, it could be up to 100,000 Etsy shops are on reserve. So The Verge and the BBC reporting, the BBC in the UK, massive. It's our main news thingamajig. So if they start speaking out about it, it's a big thing. And I think this potentially has made a difference. Etsy change, just one little thing that popped up early in the week, just the chat button. When you're in your Etsy dashboard, there's the word, when you're in your Etsy dashboard, the button for chat, if you get, I don't know why I've got the button, I'm not a star seller just now, but you should have a button if chat's available to just chat to them directly in the bottom right hand corner. It's changed, it's ugly, but sellers are actually reporting, obviously this changed during the week. Maybe, who knows, maybe Etsy didn't roll it out fully proper. It wasn't fully ready when they rolled it out, but sellers were reporting they were having issues closing out of the chat. So they were chatting to somebody, and at the end of the chat, or if they weren't happy with the chat, they couldn't close out and start a new chat. They were sort of stuck in a dead chat. I don't know if that's been fixed. I haven't had any problems, but it's an ugly wee button, isn't it? Anyway, something not Etsy's fault. I just wanted to beware here. I get that people are being annoyed at Etsy, and Etsy sellers were advising other Etsy sellers to download your customer emails to get a mailing list to be able to direct them to your website. And there's even a Google Chrome extension to be able to download your Etsy emails. Do not. In UK law, EU law, and the US Californian Can Spam Act, you are not allowed to do this. And basically, there are whole loads of rules and regulations about how you can gather people's data and keep it and what you can do with it. All the laws have similar things, but I pulled out the bit from the UK law. One of the bits, there's quite a lot in this, but direct marketing, you must check if customers want to be contacted by fax, phone, post, or email, and give them a chance to object. You must be able to prove that you've done this. And when you collect customer details, you must get their permission if you want to send them other offers and promotions. So you cannot sign people up to a mailing list unless they opt into it. So this means you could put something in your shop, in your message to buyer or something like that. You can have, here is a link to opt into my mailing list. You cannot save their emails. There's also whole things like the GDPR in Europe, but all over the place, there's whole laws into what data you're allowed to save. Now, the customers, yes, they've purchased from you, but they're signing up with Etsy. Etsy has the rights to their data and stuff. Etsy deals with how they save the emails and all that. We don't just take legal advice before taking advice from Etsy sellers on doing something that could potentially be illegal, because it's bad enough that your shop might be in reserve or you're really unhappy with Etsy, but don't start your new business venture, your new website, doing something illegal or potentially illegal. Not a legal person here. So later on in the week, Etsy update. Etsy are actually making changes to the Etsy reserves. So here's just some of the messages. Even my mum's got this. It's effective next week. So there was an entire update on Etsy saying they're making reserves more dynamic. For the vast majority of sellers, we're substantially decreasing the percentage of funds we currently hold in reserve. For most people, it looks like from next week it's going to be going down to 30% instead of 75%. Improving communication to sellers who are newly placed in reserve to help them understand our logic and how to get their funds released earlier. Yeah, Etsy have been sending out just a boilerplate cut and paste, automatic message with all the reasons, but people just didn't know why they were put in reserve. And I'm happy with this about time. Like, we've all told Etsy about this, but making adjustments for issues that are beyond sellers' control. We're aware there are limited options for low-cost tracked shipping services in the UK and other markets. We'll be adjusting the criteria. Because as far as we can tell, my mum's only in reserve because she can't do tracked shipping for all of her items. It's not worthwhile. And she lives in a small village, and the shipping labels are Etsy shipping labels are not worth it either. So we felt very much like her being put in reserve was bullying to try and force her into using Etsy shipping labels. And more Etsy in the news was the BBC, like within hours, reported Etsy U-turn and row over withholding sellers' money. So definitely a bit of a win there. Some Etsy tests popping up if you're using Etsy ads. I'm seeing at the top of the Etsy ads a banner saying, "We're testing a new way to find tags that could help your advertised listings show up in more searches. Check it out and tell us what you think." I think if we will talk a little bit about the Etsy financial report, but Etsy's revenue was up in the last quarter, partly because they're getting more money from ads. So basically, they're trying to find more ways to show your ads in more places so they can get more money from you. So if you've got good listings, they want to show you in lots of places. So I've shown you before in videos how to check on your Etsy ads what keywords you're being found for and turn off irrelevant ones. I'm seeing a lot of irrelevant ones in my ads. It's difficult to compare though, because I was running a test myself. I was doing a thing. So my advertised listings aren't ones that were advertised before, so I can't say if that's normal, but it does check and make sure there are ways to turn off irrelevant keywords if you find them irrelevant. So turn them off. But I'm not against Etsy having experiments to do the best thing, but showing up in more searches so that Etsy makes more money. I'm being salty again today, ain't I? Anyway, the Etsy Q2 financials were out. I did a whole video on that a couple of days ago. So if you're really interested in the breakdown, check it out. The TLDR is Etsy saying they maintained. Etsy went slightly down year on year in GMS, gross mean sales. However, the revenue went up a wee bit because they're making more money off of sellers. Other things, there is going to be a baby registry like the wedding registry. That's the next thing that's opening. Internationally, in Western Europe, Etsy's doing quite well. It would be nice if they helped us to sell better to Western Europe by explaining about the Lucid to Germany and stuff, the recycling regulations, so we understood that a little bit better. But anyway, yeah, check out the video if you want to know more. And I did say in that video I will look at the Etsy stock because, well, if we look at this on the left, this is the Etsy share price, and people are freaking out as usual, saying Etsy stocks have plummeted. Now, if you look at that, that is over a period of the past week, and share price, financials, big drop. So people are absolutely freaking out. But if we look at the 3-month trend, we can see that big drops are kind of normal. It is a big drop, but that's just kind of how things have been going. Basically, Etsy's Q2 results, what they said in the financials was higher than they predicted last time. So they're doing a little better than predicted. However, their predictions for the next quarter are not too optimistic for a whole lot of growth, which is totally understandable and honest. But the markets go, oh no, pessimistic predictions. But from what I can see, Etsy stock is still considered underpriced. A lot of financially people are saying it's worth a little more than it's selling for. So there's still a lot of confidence in Etsy stock, and this kind of volatility is normal. I mean, yes, year on year, sales has gone down slightly. Things are tough post the pandemic. They were quite pessimistic in their predictions for the next quarter. Totally understandable. And all this well, I'd say all this stuff with the news can't be helping, but if we look, through the week when all this was happening, or well, the past few weeks, let's look at this graph. The past few weeks, Etsy's been in the news with this seller reserve thing, and share prices were going up, so I don't think that is particularly hurting it. Now, I know I missed some things this week. As I say, I had a little interesting end to the week. So if I missed anything, let me know in the comments down below. But again, thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Etsy News. Thank you for subscribing if you have done as well. I asked earlier in the week because we're really close to that 20,000 subscribers, which means nothing apart from making me feel fuzzy inside. But I think we're around about just over 200 subscribers left to go, so we can totally do it. That feels so spammy and weird, but anyway, thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.